gifted me. And the gift, oh, we're out of stopwatches, aren't we? Yeah. So Aaron, hang tight for data. We'll get data for you.
What about the one on your butt?
Well, it's not working. I can't turn the damn thing off.
It's in the bag now.
It's in the bag now. It was beeping for a while and it stopped, so maybe it just gave
You
up.
have mine, I have one on my...
No, I don't want you can't use that one, here's why. No, there's a reason. I know most of you guys are carrying phones and have stopwatches on them, but here's the reason I don't want you using them. This story actually goes back in time quite a ways. Bend High, and I'm sure most high schools don't have a huge athletic budget. So when you have a lot of athletic events, parents have to volunteer to help out a lot with keeping score and things like that. So my buddy Doug came into work about 6 years ago. His daughters were swimming for Bend at the time, and said, "I can't believe the parents at swim meets." I'm like, "You can't? The parents at a sporting event. Like, what's going to happen?" I coached my son's seven-year-old soccer team, and they're yelling at me to get off the field. Get off the field! You can't be out there while they're playing. They're 7. I'm helping them learn how to play the game of soccer. You're getting in their way. I'm faster than them, for God's sake. Seriously, settle down. Anyway, parents will be parents, right? The parents were complaining at the Bend High meet, and here's why. So, some parents were running the stopwatches in each of the lanes. This is before touchpads, right? This is before touchpads. And it's not what you think, though. You'd think it was a parent, let me get in Johnny's lane. Johnny's my son. Go! You'd think that was the problem, right? That wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't...
I'm picturing parents in the stands with their own stopwatch.
Well, maybe that too. The problem was this, though. You got 8 parents in the 8 lanes, right? And they're all mixed up to not be with their own kid. Some were using their thumb, and some had turned the stopwatch over and using their finger to mark the time. Somebody decided there was a difference. Somebody decided there was a difference between thumbs. Because if you look at the stopwatch, everybody grab your stopwatch. Get it in the stopwatch mode. One of the buttons, which is not in the middle, starts it and stops it. Right? There you go. I heard it. The other one resets it. Now the reset button there's no time constraint on the reset button. You take as much time as you need to reset the button, right? The trick is to starting and the stopping, right? Which is, if you're looking at the stopwatch, holding it in your right hand, it becomes the right button. So my thumb, right-handed. Anybody left-handed in here? Left-handers, I'm going to need you guys to actually do it upside down to have your dominant thumb. You'll see in a second what I'm talking about. You'll see in a second what I'm talking about. Okay. It seems weird, but I want to test thumb versus finger. I want to test this claim, as asinine as it is. I want to test, I told Doug, I'm like, I can give you pretty definitive proof if there's a difference or not, by just making my 244 class. He's like, would you? Because they keep bringing it up in these meetings. I'm like, sure, I'll bring it to class. Tracy.
Yeah, but the difference is that you have it in this hand, and then you've got the timer, the pad thing.
What's this?
Hand.
What's this pad?
It's for the touchpad, but you're supposed to have this clock, because I time all the time.
Oh, this predates touchpads, though.
No, but you have the other thing. Is
you have this and a pad?
Yes.
Why do you have 2?
Because you have to have 3 data points for it.
Oh, Jesus.
You have to have 3 for it to be an official time.
Really?
Yes, you have to have the touchpad.
And the same person running all 3?
No, you have 2 timers.
Yeah.
You have 2 clickers.
Yes.
So you watch them hit, you click this, and you click the time.
God. And pat your belly and chew gum.
And then the machine records.
Oh my God, this is insane. Well, can we make this a little simpler? Because the only argument was that the thumb was different than the finger. I love what you're saying, Tracy.
That's why, because I go this way.
No, I love what you're saying, but we're going to test the very simple thing. My God. It's like a PhD dissertation on this. That's awesome. I love it. I'm not prepared for that. Died a little bit inside right then. What we're going to do is we're going to test just thumb versus finger, because that was the only claim that was made to Doug, and that Doug recanted it to me. Fair? Okay, so here's what we're going to test. We're going to test our dominant hands, which might not be the case anymore, but we're going to go ahead and test it. So lefties, you guys have to test your left hand. Righties, test your right hands. Fair? Okay. I want you to flip the penny that you have right now. Okay? Flip your penny. If it came up heads, you're going to test your thumb first. If it came up tails, you're going to test your finger first. So let's put that down so I don't forget. Heads, thumb, tails, finger. Fair enough? So who got heads? Ish, half the class, that's fine. plus or minus a standard deviation or two. Good. Now, we'll talk about why we did that momentarily. Let's, before we get the data, figure out the hypotheses that we're going to be testing in this. Because imagine, compare this to the commercials. It's going to look exactly the same, isn't it? What's going to be in L1?
Times for the finger.
Times for your finger. What's going to be in L2? Times for your thumb. What's going to be in L3? The difference. Cool? We're going to compare the thumbs to the fingers. Do you see why it's matched? We want to time each person's finger compared to their thumb. Not all the fingers and all the thumbs. I want to pair each person and see if there's a difference in each person. That's what I care about, right? That's what I care about. It might be that the fingers and the thumbs are something different, but that's not what the parents are complaining about. They're complaining that some parents are using an appendage that's not as accurate as the other appendage. So I need to compare a parent to themselves. Sorry, use the word appendage.
Maybe some parents aren't as,
I didn't say that, Chris. You did.
some parents.
Careful. Trying to be mathematical here. So, we are testing an average, right? Average. That's what, let's start a template. Let's start a template for this, yes? Let's start a template. We're testing an average. You go, my friend, if you want. The variable, I think you guys already know what the variable is going to be. What's mu going to stand for?
The average contrast or difference.
The average contrast or, I love the word contrast, we're going to use it all term now. The average contrast or difference between the thumb and the finger times. I love it. What are our hypotheses going to be? I love this one.
Fingers faster than thumb, or more accurate.
Why do you say finger or more accurate?
We had to choose one.
How did you? Actually, you don't. Thank you, Ben. You don't have to choose one. You don't have to choose one. This becomes a two-tailed test. Aaron, you asked about a week and a half ago about this. You don't have to choose one. If you go into a study not knowing if there's going to be a difference or not, simply test that. They're equal or they're not. Just test that. That way you don't have to have any preconceived notion going in. That's totally legitimate. Now, if you get your data, you might think otherwise about it. But before you have your data, there's nothing wrong with going with a two-tailed test. We'll talk, I have a quiz planned for you guys for next week on two-tailed testing versus one-tailed testing. Many statisticians refuse to do anything except two-tailed testing. And that's what I read that in a journal about 6 months ago, and I'm like, you know what, that needs to be a quiz. Just to analyze, if you choose to do it, of course. You also can ignore it if you want to. But it's an interesting idea that some statisticians will only run two-tailed tests, and I decided to build a quiz around it, which I finally will get around to this afternoon. Cool? But first, I know, Casey, I know. First we need some